as well, by the way.
Yay.
Oh,
Hello. We were having a bit of a chat and I've kind of interrupted it, which is a bit rude of me. But yeah, hello everybody. Hello Leo in particular. Hello Chris. I'm going to get this bit out of the way at the beginning just because it's easier to do it at the beginning. The thing is with depending on where this is being pushed to, so it's being pushed to a Facebook page, it's being pushed to a Facebook group, and it's being pushed live to YouTube. The only insight into comments that I get really is in the Facebook page or the YouTube link. Now, to make this a whole lot easier, I've put together a page. Actually, it's probably best if I just show it to you. If you go to wpbuilds.com/live, then you'll find that the video is actually hosted there. This is the YouTube feed that you're getting, and the comment box is already sort of pasted into that page, so it's happening underneath, and you can see that Chris has made a comment and Leo has made a comment. Now the nice thing about that is that enables me to add it to the broadcast a bit like this. That's absolutely huge. Would you look at that? Let's see if we can make that just a little bit smaller, because that just all seems a bit ridiculously big. There we go. Let's save that and make it a bit smaller. Oh, it's still a bit big. Make it a bit smaller still. There we go. Right. So that helps us. If you want to go to wpbuilds.com/live, then you can watch it happening. But that's not what you're here for. You're here to listen to some people talk about the WordPress news. And today, over there, as usual, getting this first time now, is Paul Lacey. Give us your pitch, Paul, and then show us your head.
what? I came on this and the first thing Nathan said was shiny. I wasn't wearing my hat, and I since went and put some tea tree oil on my face because I felt bullied. So, anyway, Paul here from the Dickiebird Studio in the UK, WordPress and UX agency, and I'm joined here today by two extra guests. One is my one is over here. Let's see if we can just say
hello.
And also, newcomer to the house is this one.
Oh.
Yeah. Was he sitting on your lap that entire time?
Yeah, she likes to sit on my lap. And that's little Ellie. She's the new one to the.
Oh my goodness me! We have.
So I'm not in the office today. I'm at home. So look at it. I'm fine. One there, and there's another bunch of them over there and stuff. So
that's so nice. Oh, that's lovely.
Nice warm lap at the moment.
Yeah.
But if the door goes, it'll start barking. So I'll mute.
I want to have some. Come back to that. I want to just pick up something like really extraordinary off my lap and show it to you. I'm going to totally tell an aside, right? Have you ever read Stephen Fry's biography?
No.
Right, he talks about this when he was at school. He had this rivalry with this girl, and there was always a nature table. And the nature table, every day he would bring something in for the nature table, and he'd be really impressed. And then this new girl started, and every day she would bring in something just slightly better than what he'd brought in. So he'd bring in like a nest, and she'd bring in like a nest with eggs in it or something like that. And so this escalated over time until it was getting really serious. He was really ticked off with it. He found a dead badger on the way into school. So he took it to the nature table, and as he approached the nature table, he looked out of the classroom window to discover that she'd brought in a live donkey.
Oh my God.
No joke, my wife wants a donkey. So I'm drawing the line. The garden's big enough, but I don't think the neighbours would.
No. Down there we have Vito's sleeve. Hi Vito, how you doing?
Very good.
Give us your little promo. Who are you? Where are you from?
I'm Vito. I'm from WP Feedback, which is a communication tool for WordPress professionals, kind of like post-it notes for live websites for all of us to better communicate with our customers. And I'm calling today. I'm from Dublin, after being at WordCamp here over the weekend.
Cool.
Yeah,
That was nice.
I'm
I
happy
actually
to
managed
be-
to see you in the crowd via the magic of like live streaming, which is pretty amazing. Yeah, that was really nice. That was good to see you. And over here we have David McCann. Hi, David. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and so on.
Hi, David McCann from Iowa in the States, in the Midwest. And I'm a community member who blogs and creates video tutorials and hangs out on Facebook and builds websites.
Very nice. David is just telling us about his days of having to issue people certificates to tell them how to reboot their machine. So long has David been working with tech that it was in the day before there was even a button to restart your machine. You had to actually type it in. Vito, I think, is just sort of decided to go somewhere else, so we'll see what happens there. Bit quieter where you are there, Vito. Let's get on with it, shall we? We're here to talk about the WordPress news. I will very quickly explain how you might find that. So this is our website, wpbuilds.com. If you click on this little archive link and then click on this news archive, then you'll get to this page where we always have the news, and the top left one is always the one that we're on about. And today it's this one, it's number 85. So we're going to go through these stories. Some of them will give a little bit more time, some less time. And we'll see how we go. Now, the first bit of news this week, let me just pull my other little document up. We had some items all about WordPress 5.2.4 being released. We had a few security patches. I don't actually remember when I was looking at this article. It was a few days ago now. I can't really remember. Excuse me for the black screen. It's just loading. I can't remember if there was an awful lot more than these 6. I think it was. Yeah, here they are. 6 problems on with WordPress core. I don't remember there being too much else to talk about. So anyway, hopefully by now you've got yourself updated. I don't suppose anybody wants to really talk about that. We'd probably far rather talk about WordPress 5.3. 2 articles for you here today. The first one is over at WordPress itself, wordpress.org, telling us all about the fact that we've got this release candidate. I don't know if you know, but release candidate is like the first step towards something that's complete. Basically, the guys in the team are saying, we think this is pretty much done. Now just go out and test it, hammer it, and see if you can figure out any problems. 12th of November, so help would be required. However, there's a Kinster article over here, which was really good because it split up all of the different things that are coming in 5.3. And I confess, I'm impressed. Did anybody get a chance to actually have a look at that?
Yes, I actually saw that before it was posted here.
Right.
And yeah, I just love the way that they round things up, and their blog is just incredible. So I just love jumping on it once in a while, see what's going on, and it gives you more than just the basic knowledge of ABC. This was happening, but actually the benefits of what you can get from it. And this is just an awesome roundup around this thing.
Yeah, there's absolutely loads in there. There's lots and lots of information. I mean, I don't know how many what the word count is, but it tells you that there's a whole. I'll just put it back on the screen actually because that's helpful. There's a whole new stuff with the block editor. Allegedly, it's significantly quicker. AKA Gutenberg, down to 38.96 milliseconds. But there's also things like there's this block appender. I kind of saw some usability testing with WordPress, and a lot of people were actually missing this. So if they were fresh to WordPress, believe it or not, they couldn't see it. And obviously, using WordPress every day, it kind of strikes me as, well, how do you not see it? But clearly, if everybody's not seeing it, then it's a problem with the interface, not with the people. So they've made it this slightly more obvious shade of grey, so it stands out now. There's a whole load of stuff about grouping blocks. You've got the ability to add custom widths. You have to do it with this slider, which still feels a little bit janky. I'd like to be able to drag these and move them to left and right, which you will be able to do in the future. Custom layouts, cover. Anyway, the whole point is there's absolutely tons in there to do with the block editor. And then a whole load of other stuff. But rather than me rabbit on about it, I'll just hand it over to Paul or David if they want to take it on.
Yeah, there's a few things. I think you could have a whole episode going through this blog post.
Yeah.
Because there's so much to talk about. Because I don't know if you want this, but this release rounds up all of the Gutenberg plugin updates in the last however long, and he's pushing them into the core WordPress block editor. So anyone who uses the current Gutenberg plugin, if you're kind of using it in an experimental way of
Yeah.
but those additions.
I think we're getting a bit of audio interference,
Yes,
Paul,
that's
and I
me.
think it's possibly Vito, because he's in I presume, in a cafe or something. Vito, would it be possible, is it really rude of me to ask that when you're not speaking, would you mind can you mute the mic in some way?
Skype allows you to do it. You just hit the microphone icon.
Thanks, Vito.
Yeah, I already did it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Sorry, Paul, carry on.
Yeah, I was just saying that this release includes a ton of the kind of experimental add-ons that were created into the Gutenberg plugin itself. So if you use the Gutenberg plugin, then you're always getting the latest things that they're working on, and, getting the chance to feed back on them. And then this release includes a ton of those things that were invented for the Gutenberg plugin, not the block editor, and then rolled into core now that they're stable and kind of people are happy with them. And there's lots of little, as well as the Gutenberg stuff, there's some UI updates to WordPress as well, which I quite like, which is some standardizing of the styles of things like buttons. So all the buttons have got a kind of blue rim around them. Whereas before, I didn't even notice this, but you can see it when you see the stuff side to side, that you had buttons with blue border around them and then buttons with black border around them right next to each other. And they're all buttons, so there were some inconsistencies there. So it looks like it's a really awesome release, really. And we were just saying before we started recording that, in a year's time, Gutenberg or the block editor could be really nailing it for people. It's definitely going in the right direction.
Yeah, this is what came out of this article for me, was just how much has been rolled into it. It's pretty astonishing, really. Amazing. David, you got anything to add on that?
No, but we are going to talk about it a little bit further on, I think, as Paul kind of alluded to.
Yeah. Well, in which case, I'll just crack on, because there's plenty more stuff to do.
There was something about the image minification feature. That was part of 5.3, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I can't remember at what point it was going to be coming out, but yeah, there's WordPress by default will minify to a certain size that's set. I can't remember if it's a setting or if it's something in a file that you've got to modify, but yeah, there's going to be some maximums limit, but it'll only apply to newly uploaded images. It won't be applying like something like Smush or WP Compress, where they can just go back through the entire library and just squash them all. It's just the new stuff. So yeah, but the important stuff, it's great. It's speeding everything up. What else have we got? Okay, so this is the community section. We talk about community. I don't know if any of you have come across Dave Foy before. It's actually, on a sort of personal note, I've met Dave on a number of occasions, and he actually lives sort of just down the road. He's just fabulous. If you've never seen his video content before, he really sweats the details. I mean, his videos are like watching television. I can't imagine that he does it first, second, or maybe even 10th try. Everything is just so well executed. Well, he's got a course which is called No Stress WordPress, which he released in 2017. And he's putting it back on again. He's refactored it all, and he's putting it all back on. And so I've got a link to that. He's doing a live webinar to, I guess, explain what it's all about and so on. And then just in case anybody was sort of like puzzled or anything, I'm going to do a live webinar with him as well, a bit like this, live in our Facebook group and so on. And you can visit that on the 29th of November, I think it is. And get check it out. Anyway, here's some links that you can see. Have any of you taken Dave's stuff?
I've done his No Fear Funnels course.
Yep.
The reason, first of all, it's an awesome course. I know we're not talking about that particular course. This is No Stress WordPress, but I was one of the 10 or so beta testers for No Stress WordPress, which was, we actually paid to be beta testers. But the cool thing was that we got all of his future courses that are released under his own brand.
Nice.
For free. And so when No Fear Funnels came out, that was fantastic, because I got I got that for free through my original investment. But his course quality, like you said, is about as good as it gets.
Yeah.
I don't think, the only other stuff that I see that is on par with that is the stuff like what you'd see from the more up to date WP Elevation team, which, funnily enough, Dave has done a course with them now, so he's technically, yeah. I mean, No Stress WordPress, actually, even though I was beta testing it from a point of view as a professional, there was a bunch of stuff in there that I just learned. I didn't know, because he goes into absolutely every single detail. I remember him going into great detail about what should be the core settings that you put into the media settings in the media section in WordPress. And there was a load of discussion about that. And I learned something about that as well, because nobody really had what should the exact options be. I can't actually remember what they are. But anyway, awesome course. He's updated it to 2.0, like you said. And 2.0 has got a lot more stuff for pros as well in there. So it's particularly good maybe if you are a small team, maybe 1, 2 or 3 people, and you're trying to train someone up and you're trying to tell them what WordPress is for the first time. So I actually did make use of the course, and my wife Lindsay helps me from time to time with WordPress stuff, and she went through the whole course, so she understands a whole bunch of stuff that Dave explained way better than I could.
Yeah, he does make the point that it's not just for beginners. But anyway, if you're into that, there's a couple of links in there. But yeah, so he's doing his own webinar, and then I'm doing one with him, which is basically there's no material planned. It's literally show up and ask questions. So it's just let's see how that goes.
I think that it's actually an interesting point, Nathan, about not only being for beginners, because it sounds like it's something that is relevant for people that want to get into the community, which is obviously not the people that are listening to us on this podcast.
Yep.
So from my experience with Dave and just knowing him, I would say that this is a great way to recheck your own skills and just look back into the things that sometimes we, the fundamentals that we don't really think about or we just take for granted. I also like to do through the agency, what we did that with Troy's course. Whenever I got a new team member on board, instead of me trying to jump through and remember all of the little bits and pieces that needs to be taught to a new team member, I just set them in front of the course and, all right, watch this is how we do it. So you get like a framework of how to set things up properly, not only for yourself but for future employees and stuff like that. So I think it's great value to have these kind of resources for a growing agency, in the same way that it does for newbies.
Yeah, thank you, Vito. That's great. Chris is asking, look at that, as if that's not clever. How cool is technology? He's asking, when is the webinar? Dave's one is on, here we go, 29th of October, and mine's on the day afterwards. So if you go to that one and then anything's puzzling you, you can come to my one, or the one that I'm doing with Dave, and just ask questions basically. So yeah, that's good. Right, let's get go on.
Don't worry, it's not a joke or anything. A genuine success story from it's not a joke, from No Fear Funnels. So I did the No Fear Funnels course, and then I implemented one of Dave's kind of my own version of something that he suggested on my site. And then Dave saw that in the Facebook group and then included it on one of the modules as a quick example. Go and check out the Dicky Bird's white label page, and you'll see a micro funnel sort of thing. I got a client through somebody on his course, looking at my example funnel, going to it, who was from an agency, went through it, they got the email, and we're on project number 3 now.
Nice. So, okay, that's a good endorsement. I like it.
That could happen to you if you buy the
Yeah, that's great. Anyway, there you go. Lots of nice words about Dave for you. That's great. Mm-hmm. Okay, the next one that we've got for you then is still in this community section, and it's I don't know if you've spotted this, but myself and a few other people are doing this quite lengthy bike ride next year. We're raising money for WP and UP. And this is something in the Talk Mag about exactly that, why we're doing it, what we're trying to do. Just on a sort of little personal note, I did this last week. I won't do it too much, but the WP and Up are kind of really keen to get people helping fund their project work. So if you are, after reading this, thinking, that sounds like a project that I could be involved with, not just the bike ride, but WP and Up as a whole, then you can go to wpandup.org/donate, and they've just put together this new donation page, which is really, really working well, I think. But I'm going to be tired, I think, after this. Wow. Okay. Right. Next one. What have we got? We have. Let me just put my screen on. I was not showing my screen then. This, by the way, is the page. The next one I've got is this one over on WP Tavern. This kind of piqued my interest because of the open source nature of WordPress and what have you. A new chap has been appointed as the Chief Financial Officer for Automatic. You probably know who Automatic are. They're behind .com, WooCommerce, and Jetpack and things like that. This guy has been employed, and I won't go through his list, but he's had, let's say he's got a ton of experience in turning profitable companies even more profitable. And at the moment, obviously Automatic is growing. And now I believe they've got over, here it is, as we zoom past 1,100 employees in 70 countries. They're talking about the fact that they've taken him on in order to... Now, I can't find the numbers now, but I'm sure they mentioned tens of billions of dollars in revenue that they're trying to make sure that they've got on stream. And this guy seems like a perfect fit for that. I'm going to hand it over to you guys whilst I scroll through and try to find the number, because my jaw actually hit the floor when the numbers were sort of announced. Anybody?
I've got nothing on this one.
No, fair enough. Where is it? Can't find it.
What does it mean? What do we think it means? Without, it's easy to put a $1 million
exactly
thing.
Here we go. Sorry, I've found it. Yeah, it says, as we zoom past 1,100 employees in over 70 countries, we wanted a financial leader with experience taking businesses from hundreds of millions in revenue to billions or even tens of billions. I mean, okay, so it's an interesting proposition, right? But you know that Mullen...
One guy's going to do that.
Well, he's got the experience to lead that, is the answer. Yeah, you're right.
Manage that.
Yeah, but Matt has obviously put this flag in the sand. He wants to go from 34% of the web, the top 10 million websites, to 85%, which is a really breathtaking goal. And there was this episode of he did an episode of a podcast with David Heinemeier, I'm going to say Hansen, where those two sort of different perceptions collided a little bit. WordPress, open source, It kind of feels interesting when they start talking about tens of billions of revenue. I've got no objection to it. It just, there's so many different opinions on this. Lots of people have a different opinion on it. So I just brought this to everybody's attention just in case they had an opinion as well.
I have a pretty strong opinion about this, specifically after my experience here over the weekend here in Dublin. The more I'm kind of implicated, and I don't know if it's kind of a charged subject, but the more I'm implicated within the community, and the more I kind of get to know people, I find, which I think is a really bad thing for our community, is that people think small. Too many people think way too small, and that starts from the freelancers that are giving out projects for $500. All the way to product developers that are giving themes for free after they've been working on them for 2 years, and the customers that believe that they deserve support, and they believe that they deserve new features for a theme that they got for free, or a plugin that they got for free or paid like $10 for. And that go all the way to the organization of WordCamps. We had a really interesting discussion about where does WordCamp London need to go to, if it needs to be big, if it needs to stay local. After the experience of WordCamp Europe being so big, so I think that was. On one hand, that kind of like gave a bit of an insight that it can happen. This can be like these can be massive events, but then you have a lot of pushback from the community that is saying like, no, it should be small, it should be local. The bigger it is, the more expensive it is to travel to, and even £50 is too much to go to the conference. So, and that continues into, I think, Paul, you were part of this discussion on Lee's group last week with the courses, and that got a lot of traction, talking about like online courses and how people are just creating stuff for the sake of money, quote unquote. Even though, if you want to create a course, it's not something that you do in an hour. It's something that takes months building. So it's not something that you do just for the money. It takes a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of passion to do this kind of stuff. But this is all very much the employee mindset. While in our community, and especially the people that are listening to this podcast, we are business owners, we need to think big. And I think that what Matt has been saying here, and I like doing the period of 10x growth in staff and revenue, and setting up unrealistic goals of going to 85%. Who would have believed that WordPress would have been where it is right now? Who would have believed that there would be hundreds of WordCamps all around the world, with thousands of people that are traveling from one corner of the globe to the other just to attend and connect to the community? Who would have believed that would have been businesses that are counting on one CMS that are generating eight figures, nine figures, and now we're talking about tens of billions in Automatic's case. Just stop it. Stop thinking so small. Like this. The sky is not the limit. That's what I'm trying to get to here.
Yeah,
And it just pisses me off to see these communications. And the more I talk to people in the community, the smaller I see people's goals are, and it's just really annoying.
I want to push
I just
back
had to get it off. Sorry.
I want to push back a little bit,
Yeah.
Vito. I think you got a really, really good point. But Chris Lima did an article a while ago. I'm probably getting it wrong, but the general idea of it was that, you go shopping for a house or you're selling a house, and, some houses have, a swimming pool and some don't. And so there's market segmentation. And, one of the nice things about WordPress is that you can have people come in, create a website for themselves without really having to spend money. They can find a nice theme, they can find, plugins that do what they need to do. And maybe it's more work. They have to put in effort to figure out stuff themselves. So I think that it's good to have things at all levels. And, I agree that, the whole idea of, kind of a publishing platform, anybody can express themselves. That's pretty big thinking, and, sticking with that. But, I think it's good to have, local meetups, and, when you have something, on kind of a citywide or national level, of course, it's going to be much bigger.
So that's the point. That there's a lot of pushback of these things that they should not. So I'm not talking about if something is small because that's the reach that it has, or the niche is too small to give it the ability to grow to a certain level, but to stop growth just because it doesn't fit with the old way of doing things, or to look at automatic. And I'd imagine there's be a lot of people that are saying, how come they're doing tens of billions, or aiming at tens of billions from a product that's supposed to be free or whatever? And I say good for them, if they found a way to monetize something that still creates, changed all of our lives and created careers for millions of people all over the world. I think that this is the way to think, rather than pushing back on these things and saying that this is getting too big, this is getting too this, too that, too this. Like, screw that. Like, if you can think that big, do it.
It's certainly interesting because obviously at the level that Matt Mullenweg is at, employing somebody like this with a history and a track record. I confess I've forgotten the companies that he worked for, but it's all in this article on WP Tavern that you can see on the screen. He's clearly the man. They've put a lot of confidence in him. He's going to be reporting presumably just to Matt. The finances of Automatic will be in charge of him, and the growth is definitely there. I can see it from sort of both sides. It's an interesting one, but yeah, let's move on. 10 years. Here we go. Where's the post gone? Here it is. 10 years of Yoast is being celebrated. Apparently, you can win some tickets if you would like to go to YoastCon, which is a thing that they put on each year. You can actually go and win yourself a couple of tickets there. Basically, you apply and go through some sort of vetting process, and then they will pay for 2 people to go, stay in their accommodation. They'll pay for your flights and everything. But yeah, what a nice gesture. I just thought that was certainly worth mentioning. That's really nice. The other thing that I've got on here is that Meetup is now going to charge, but if you're a WordPress, if you've got an official WordPress Meetup, you're not going to be too bothered by that because it's remaining free for WordPressers. But if you're using Meetup in a regular old free way, then you're going to have to start paying for it from now on. And then, Paul, I think you wanted to take an article, dare I even say it, on the Kinster.com website, all about them boosting their performance by up to 200%.
Yeah. So I'm slightly desensitized to claims by any, performance-related plugin hosting company or anything like that, because almost, everything that you ever read is hugely sped this up, or hugely sped this up, 10 times faster, 5 times faster, all this stuff. But the thing about Kinster is that they are already well respected, and pretty much anybody who dives in and tries to pull their system apart and look for holes tends to come out very positively about their system. So I'm definitely not in complete disbelievement of, I think, what is it? It says it does the, I've lost the thing now. What does it say in the
it says the headline? The headline is Kinster boosting, Kinster is boosting performance for everybody by up to 200%, and I think the 200% is the absolute ceiling that they could possibly hope to entertain in the most perfect of circumstances. But they're making the point, I think, 30% through 200.
If it's like a genuine, because it's already a well-performing system, and what's good about the post that you can read is that it tells you what they've done. So they've upgraded to a newer version, a more powerful version of the Google Cloud. And I think that when Kinster does stuff like this, you can know that it's a big improvement. So, for instance, Flywheel recently switched from whatever they were using before. Someone might know, I don't know if it was Linode or DigitalOcean or something, to, I think, the Google Cloud. Is that right? Is that what Flywheel switched to?
I can't remember, in all honesty.
They did. Yeah, it was the Google Cloud anyway.
Yes, yeah.
And, this is just my own experience. I tried them out a month ago or so, and there was no difference from the performance that I got 2 years ago. So it felt to me in that scenario that I just got a tiny slice of the Google Cloud, and that it wasn't actually any benefit to me. It was just benefit to perhaps that company dividing it up and saving money. That's my own personal experience with that. Whereas at the same time, I've been using the Kinster system for a couple of clients that aren't on my care plans, and I always point them towards Kinster because I know that it's a safe pair of hands. Tried it out, everything works, you can see what the technology is. So I totally believe that their 200% performance is legit. But whatever the headline is, because I've lost that headline now.
Yeah.
Does it say we've done the unbelievable?
Yeah, it says doing the unimaginable is what they say.
Unimaginable.
Doing the unimaginable.
Well, honestly, I can imagine it. So that's the only problem I've got with the article. That I wasn't in any way surprised. I'm desensitized to claims about performance.
Yeah.
But in Kinster's case, I totally believe that what they're saying is true. And you can read the article and find out exactly what they've done.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that plenty of Kinster people backing that up.
I've highlighted a bit on my...
Have you seen an effect already? Because I've been using Kinster for a couple of years for us and for all of the clients that we had at the agency. But I haven't seen that much of a difference in the past couple of weeks.
I don't know if that's rolled. I don't know if it's fully rolled out for people as yet.
The website, it doesn't, or at least I don't remember them speaking about that. But what I will read you is it says, we're making the new GCP machines available for everyone. This is the bit that I like. Their platform is just, I think their platform is basically the same no matter who you are. So it says we're going to roll this out for Fortune 500 companies as well as, if you're on their basic plan. So yeah, there you go. And Chris in the comments makes the point that he's never seen anybody unhappy with them, which is quite something, isn't it? That's quite an astonishing claim. We'll wait and see. Anybody on Kinster, you can find out for yourself whether this is actually a performance increase that you can notice. And David, if it's all right, David wants to talk about this article. We did mention a minute ago that we were going to get back to Gutenberg. This is, I love Smashing Magazine. I don't know if any of you spend any time in here. I find myself sort of drifting into it once in a while when it gets around to WordPress, which it does every month or so. But when they turn their attention to something, I think they do a fabulous job. It's always long form, really well thought out, and this is a great piece on what's happened in Gutenberg post-mortem of Gutenberg. We've obviously been at it for a year, or almost a year, not quite. What did you make of this, David?
Well, the article is long, but he makes some really good points, and the main one is that a lot of people have a negative association with Gutenberg because of the development process and how it was launched. For example, a lot of people installed the Classic Editor plugin before even 5.0 was rolled out, and may never have even seen or tried Gutenberg. And that now, going on almost a year, it's actually starting to get pretty good. And I know, Nathan, you've said you've been using it, and I've started using it for posts, not using it for all my custom post types in all cases, but I've been using it for posts and been happy with it. I'm finding everything I need. There are some quirks with it, but it's really made a huge number of improvements. And I think, as you and Paul were talking about with 5.3, they're just continuing. So I think the point is, don't step back a little bit and consider maybe now it's getting to the point where you can give it another try.
That is exactly my thoughts on it. I'm not using it for anything other than creating the content, so it's paragraphs and images, but layouts and templates and all that kind of thing are handled in a different way. But there was somebody in our Facebook group this week, I can't remember who it was, who posted that basically they'd tried it and they created this pixelated image which kind of didn't we were unable to see what the post was. It might have been Chris Hughes, I can't remember, but basically saying that he feels it's really good, and I'm there as well. I've now got to the point where all of the little annoying things have been squashed, and I now feel like I'm gonna go round and uninstall Classic Editor on just about every place it exists, because I don't believe that anybody wouldn't be able to figure out its quirks with just given a couple of minutes. And I think it's fabulous, really fabulous. I'm loving it more and more. Yeah. Anybody else?
It's gone along, because I remember when we first started doing this course, we were trashing Gutenberg.
That's the thing, though. It was worthy of a bit of attention, wasn't it? There wasn't a lot of polish. It felt rushed out. So most of the people that I know went ahead and put the Classic Editor in somewhere, and now I feel that plugin has for me at least, it's got almost no shelf life left. In fact, I find it irksome when I create a post and all I do now is have to find the meta box which says move to the block editor. That's all I use it for now. It's just kind of a bit pointless. Oh yeah, Chris Hughes says yeah, it was me. So thanks for that, Chris. That was a good little post. Liked it. We're coming back to you in a minute, Chris, if that's all right. But before that, we're going to talk about this. This is on the GoDaddy.com website. Some chap called Vito Peleg has a plugin called WP Feedback, and you've announced a really significant partnership this week, Vito. You're in the news and you're on it, so tell us what this is about. WP Feedback links up with GoDaddy Pro.
Yes. So this is part of my kind of a vision of trying to make sure that our tool is the way that WordPress professionals talk to client everywhere. And this means that we need to get like massive reach. And I got in touch with Adam through back when I first started working on this and doing my research. I actually reached out to him to just learn from his experience being the founder of Foo Plugins, if you remember that company back then. And we got talking, and then I found out that he was working with GoDaddy, and he kind of like steered the ship towards this direction, which is incredible, after literally 4.5 months that we've been around, to be endorsed by the biggest hosting company in the world. And over the next month it's going to be not rolled out, but suggested to all of the GoDaddy Pro users. And the cool thing about this, and this is something that we all know, GoDaddy has they don't have a good reputation in our ecosystem when it comes to hosting. And I used to use GoDaddy when I first started building websites, and I quickly kind of stayed away from the hosting service. But over the past couple of years, I think we've all seen that they've been trying, to get back on that horse. I think we had a discussion about this a couple of weeks ago about second chances.
Yeah.
About like some, it's a completely different company, new CEO, new kind of approach to this, and all that they're doing right now is they're trying to just gain trust. And even with this thing, I was like happy to even give them percentage off of the sales, because they've built an incredible audience over the last 10 or 15 years. They didn't want anything, which came as a shock to me. More than that, they are subsidizing some of this for their users, just because they believe in this solution, and they believe that this can help their customer base do more through their platform, or do more through this thing. Get me off the screen.
No, I'm just making a joke. It's Chris. I kept his comment up, so he wrote another comment, which I then put on the screen and made it go all over the place. Sorry, I've interrupted.
Yeah. So so that's kind of like the game for me was just to try and get as much people to know about our tool. We're gonna do a big announcement over at WordCamp US that I'm flying to next week. And any questions about this?
It's exciting. The first thing that came into my head was, I found this on the screen. I've got it now. So the deal is that in the GoDaddy panel, the C panel, if you like, for want of a better word, they're going to start pushing a variety of products and services that they believe are really significantly worthwhile. You're the first one to launch, but it's not like they get a free go at your plugin. It's just a reduction, right?
Yes. So we are a premium plugin, so it does cost money.
Yeah.
Which is it's saving. Recouping the cost of this is literally on the first week. But yeah, so the people that are already signed up to GoDaddy Pro, which is free, I think that all of us have GoDaddy accounts from whenever, so just going and signing up, you're gonna get 50% off of this tool. And again, the game was to create a partnership, like a partnership scheme with tools that can benefit to the community and can benefit their customer base. We're the first ones, which I love that, because I love doing, I love being the pilot, so I can have the freedom to experiment and do things that are out of the, like thinking outside the box and doing things that are out of the ordinary. So this is gonna be the experience of the next month. We're gonna try all kinds of different things that we planned out, and we are gonna make this a successful partnership so that other plugins or other products within the ecosystem in the future can enjoy what we find together over the next month.
Nice, thanks, Vito. That's cool. Just going to very briefly move quickly along to this one. There's Kyokan Blocks has partnered with Guttenslider. The reason I mentioned this was I'd never heard of either of them, I confess. And they've partnered. It was quite an interesting piece of collaboration. The two developers have realised that they've got strengths that the other one doesn't have. So rather than sort of combine their companies, they're actually going to like swap roles for a bit. One of them is going to work on the other one's plugin for a bit, and then they're going to swap back again. It's just a really, really sort of ingenious approach, I thought. Yeah, really quite nice. And this one is Chris, who's actually on the call. Just a shout out to Chris. He's been an incredible member of the WP Builds community over the recent months, and he's put together an article entitled 10 Best Podcasts for Freelancers and Agencies. And if you're not into podcasting, it's a really great thing. You know, you can listen in the car and all that kind of thing. So he's put together a list of his favourites, and so there's just a shout out to him really to say thanks for doing that, and he gives us a bit of a mention, which is really nice. Very, very nice indeed. Right then, moving on. What have we got? We've got a whole load of stuff related to...
By the way, I've been seeing more and more stuff by MillWP over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And I love their branding. I love the pictures.
Yeah.
It's so smooth.
Yeah, it's really nice, isn't it? I'm not going to say which color palette it reminds me of. There's a website, the hosting website, which kind of reminds me of their sort of color palette. But anyway, we shan't do that because then I'd get accused of all sorts of things. Right, so I'm going to move on and talk about plugins. Right, we've got a new launch of Page Builder Framework. They're on to version 2.1. Give David a shout. Absolutely fabulous developer. Let's take these things away. There's Beaver Themer and Elementor Pro integrations. They've actually been around for a while, but he's made them free. And look at this. Look at this. David McCann gets a mention. Did you know that, David?
No, I didn't. Where's that?
Look,
yeah,
you're on
great.
screen.
I see that.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
David
David
McCann. Yeah. Well, it's just like cyclical, this, isn't it? It's quite cool. You get a mention. They've launched their Beaver Themer and Elementor Pro integrations, and I think I'm right in saying that that's now been pushed into the free tier. So that's really nice. But the main event really is the post layout options, and you can see that he's added some new options: boxed layout, of which there's 3 options: title font size control and font size control. So it's a minor update, maintenance update he's calling it really. But it's nice, really nice, and I believe that this is one of those themes that kind of just floats bubbles to the top all the time. Whenever you hear conversations about what's your favourite theme, this one seems to always be lurking right in the top 2 or 3. So well done, David. Keep up the good work. What else have we got? Wallace Inline, which is I'm not going to click this one simply because it just goes to a changelog article, which isn't of much help for you guys watching it on the screen. But Wallace Inline is a plugin for Beaver Builder until recently only, that allowed you to just sort of limit what was editable, and you could edit it inline, so you can edit it right on the screen. Well, they've got support for ACF and PODS fields, which is quite nice, and they've also got support for Elementor coming up, and they've offered a code. It's nothing to do with me, but 20% off until Wednesday by the looks of it if you use the code FALL. So go and check that out. You can click on this link, but it just goes to an article, what's it called, a changelog thing. This is nice for those of you that use... Go on, please.
Just above the changelog, they've got in the roadmap, potentially for November, December, support for Gutenberg. So if anyone doesn't know what Wallace Inline is, it's an inline editor. So obviously Elementor and Beaver Builder is inline editor, but you literally just click and type and change, like super quick changing. It's absolutely wonderful for clients. But that it says here that he's thinking about rolling this out for Gutenberg back end of this year, which would be proper front-end editing for Gutenberg potentially.
Yeah, the nice feature that I think the main feature of it, which I really like, is the ability to sort of like lock down certain parts of the site by user role. So let's say, for example, you've built this wonderful, I don't know, homepage, but you really don't want the client to be messing about with it. And actually, you've perhaps even agreed with the client that they don't want, under any circumstances, to be able to change too much of it, lest they make mistakes. I've quite a few clients who are terrified of editing their websites. This allows you to just, for example, they can edit the title. They can change how the title looks, but that's about it. So it's got all those...
Well, isn't it? It's just the images, the text, the titles, and the background images.
Yeah, it's really
no
nice.
Style settings, no style tabs. It's purely editorial editing.
Yeah.
Nice.
Go and check it out. He's gone.
I think that this is one case where Vito's hit the nail on the head, because front-end editing is the holy grail for WordPress, I think. And Bradley has a pretty nice product. I know, Nathan, you were just saying you like the lockdown and the role, the restriction by roles and everything. But it's great. You can be on your website and you notice, I've got a typo. And it just saves so much time. You don't have to go back into the Load Elementor, or which is what I've been using, or Beaver Builder or whatever, to make your corrections. And if he can integrate that with Gutenberg, sky's the limit.
Yeah, really nice.
Or the stars are the limit.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's great, the ability just to edit the title as you see it. And of course, to us, people like us, something like Elementor or Beaver Builder is just common sense. It makes sense. You understand it. It's not a problem. You're prepared to commit the hours to inspect what all the options do, and you're also prepared to actually muck it all up and then realize that you can just redo it all. Whereas quite a few of my clients, they don't want anything to do with that. They just want no interface whatsoever. So like you said, go to the website, hit the thing they're going to edit, change it, and then done. And yeah, it's really, really good for that. I totally agree. WP Vivid, which is not something I'd heard of before, are a backup solution for WordPress, and they have integrated, there's a free offering now if you're a main WP user. So main WP is like a self-hosted control panel for managing all of your WordPress installs. Well, now you can do all of these things with I want to get this right, WP Vivid Backup. So there you go. So it's like, I guess it's a bit like Backup Body or Updraft Plus or all of these things, but not heard of it. So that's maybe one that I've got to get on with. But now you can do it all automatically.
It's a new backup plugin, newish, but it's interesting because you can do site migrations and change, all the URLs like you can do with the premium version of Updraft Plus.
Okay.
And so, it's getting attention, I think, for that reason, for people wanting to take a site live or migrate a site and change the URLs,
Does it have anything that you feel is like totally unique, or is it just what you'd expect from a backup solution, really?
Well, it's what you would expect, but their free offering, I guess they're working on a premium version.
Okay.
Their free offering is full featured. That's
Yeah, so they are new. It's not just that I hadn't heard of them. They're still fresh out the gate. Okay, that's interesting. So yeah, go and check them out. WP Vivid, especially if you've got main WP, which I know plenty of us have. The next one that I've got is Beaver Team. This is like a plugging the holes in Beaver Builder, where Beaver Builder has options that you feel are not there. Tom over at Beaver Team has decided to do a lot of this stuff. He's put conditional rows and modules. He's got a time condition now, so you can basically say if the time is between this and this, show this row or module. I think that's quite nice. And he's also updated his split testing platform, which is really good, by the way. Just great. So that you can set it to automatically pick a winner for you, so you never have to log in and make a decision and sort of say, oh, that looks like the winner, let's implement that. It just does it. And there's a whole bunch of other things in the pro version, like Z-index and so on and so forth. But yeah, pretty nice. Anybody on that, or should I just do the last one? Actually, do you know what? I'm going to bin this edit flow thing because it's basically not anything we need to worry about too much. So instead of that, I'll go to deals for this week. 3 deals that I've got for you this week. Be interesting to see if any of you have bought any of this stuff. James Rose, who is somebody that's been around in our group for many, many years. He's been on the podcast a couple of times. He, probably about 4 or 5 months ago, he decided to put together this Zapier, I'm going to call it, Zapier Mastery course. He automates everything. Not everything, he's still got the personal touch, but if something can be automated, he automates it, and he does it all with Zapier, and he's put together this course. I don't know if it looks to me like the launch discount has expired, but I'm sure if you reach out to James, you'll still be able to get yourself on the course. Whether or not there's a discount, I don't know. But he's a bit like Dave Foy, sweats the details, does the right thing. And I, for one, have no real experience with Zapier, so something like this would suit me down to the ground. What else have we got? This one is really got me on the hook, I have to say. I really want to know what people think about this. Now, here's a problem. I'm not going to be able to see this site because my ISP blocks it. But if I was to switch on a VPN, I could get to it. But it's a plugin called... Now, what's it called? It's called WP Fluent Forms. They are aware of the fact that a VPN, for some people, is the way to go. But did anybody buy this Fluent Forms lifetime deal for like $50?
Yeah, I did.
Tell us about it. What do you reckon?
It's a nice form solution. It's pretty mature, and the pricing is attractive. And one of the nice things is that the developers have been active in different Facebook groups getting feedback. And they recently rolled out a big update, and I think you've got some sale or something, coupon maybe, or sale you're pointing to for it at the moment, and they've got another big update that they're working on. So I think some people already have a form solution and they're happy with it, but if you're looking for one, it's worth checking out, I think.
Yeah,
they have a free version,
Yep.
In the WordPress plugin directory, and then a premium version.
I think the $50 deal is like for 25 sites, and I think the $150 deal is for an unlimited number. Sadly, I can't show it to you on the screen, but if you click on the link in the show notes, you can get to it.
I've been a big fan of Gravity Forms for years.
Yep.
That's been my go-to solution. Thank you.
Yeah.
So why, Dave? Maybe if I should take on this thing, because there's a bunch of new form kind of like things happening recently, and Gravity Form has kind of forgot about the users, or at least it feels like that.
It does feel like that, yeah.
So is this better? That's the question, I guess.
I think that Gravity Forms has so many add-ons, and some people are using those and have kind of built on top of them, and so in those cases it probably doesn't make sense to switch. But like you said, some of the bigger companies kind of get a little bit glacier in their updates, and they feel like they're mature or something, and like I'm a mature solution, and so I'm gonna I'm not hungry anymore. And so I think that's kind of the difference. They're really working hard to provide a solution. So I think they have probably, I believe it was a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you have time to try it out, I've been trying not to do the thing where you buy it and don't try it out right away. Try to give it a shot. But I think it's worth taking a look at.
Chris makes the point that he feels like this is in the comments, that he feels like the Gravity UI is very dated, like 1999. I expect that when that UI came out, it was like really cutting edge, drag, drop, easy peasy. And it was really good, but in all the time I've been using WordPress, it's been Gravity Forms, and I haven't noticed not even a vague UI amendment It's still the way it was. And I heard that a few people felt that maybe this new solution, WP Fluent Forms, was not quite as good as some of the other solutions, such as WP Forms and things, from a UI point of view. And there was styling that needed to be done to make the default forms look nice. But I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. The there's that other deal on AppSumo, the WeForms.
Okay.
Their default styling looks a little nicer when you put a form on a page.
Yep.
And they're similar, but I kind of like this group. They're very friendly, and I guess that's a reason to buy sometimes, is you feel good about the people and behind it.
Yeah. It's amazing though, to Vito's point earlier about, companies being able to generate revenue inside an ecosystem. There's lots of people just doing forms. That's all they do is forms, and there's many companies able to make very satisfactory livings just from forms. And anyway, here we have another one. Last deal. Oh, sorry, please, Paul. Go.
Okay. Looking at the integrations that it's got, it clearly knows its audience for this sale. I think this already integrates with MooSend and SendFox and some other things as well. And I don't think that the Gravity Forms creators probably even heard of SendFox or MooSend, which are, kind of fairly new-ish email systems.
Style systems.
Yeah.
So they're looking at what people are using, and they're looking at what people are wanting from this point on. And it's definitely right about Gravity Forms hasn't changed its UI for a long time. There's nothing particularly wrong with it, but it's definitely not as zippy as some of the other things I've seen. And we don't yet have in Gravity Forms 2 columns.
Yeah, and columns.
I mean,
what? Yeah, that's so straightforward.
Yeah,
I mean, you can do it, but you've got to fiddle a bit.
Classes.
Yeah,
you've got to
exactly.
do the classes and stuff. But if that's the product, they can sell what they want. It's just just watch out for the competition.
Yeah. It's the tyranny of inertia, isn't it? You've got it. You're going to stick with it because you've got it. And you can't be bothered to go back over the 100 sites that you built in order to fix it, to change anything. It's quite a nice model. The other last one, very quick, last deal is this one. It's called If So. Actually had did I? Yes, I had put a video together of me fiddling with it. I think it's 50% or something. What is it? 50% off. I don't know till when. But 50% off. I don't even know where you have to go. Is it you just go to... Anyway, 50% off. Paul can talk more about this kind of thing because it's like customization for your website. So, if the URL contains the string WP builds, for example, as a parameter, you could show a particular row. And you could, I don't know, put somebody's name on the homepage because they've clicked on a link in an email, or you could show things on a certain date or at a certain geolocation and all of that kind of stuff. But seems like a pretty good deal, and you get 50% off. But you've played with this, I guess, Paul.
Yeah, let's say you've got a small funnel on a website. Let's just say you've got a client who is a life coach, right? A typical funnel would be that someone goes to the website and then they're encouraged to do one of two things: either download the free guide to make yourself feel better in 1 week, or to buy a counseling session. So if you know that someone has gone for free guide ready, and they come back to the website via the link in the free guide email sequence, there is no point trying to push that free guide to them again because you know that they've got it. So you can use plugins like If So to set up conditions that say this website is now in the mode to really encourage that person to take that next step. So, and also, for instance, the person is returning to the website from the coach's news email sequence. The website doesn't need to try and introduce itself again about what it's all about. The website in the heading 1 can say things like, hey, you're almost there, you're very close to taking that next step, rather than, hey, my name's so-and-so, I'm this coach that does this. That person already knows that stuff now. So you can use plugins like this to really sharpen up the effectiveness of your website's conversions.
That's such a good example. Love that.
I've done that example a few times in a few talks now, so it's fresh in the mind.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw you talking to WordCamp London people.
Yeah.
WordPress meetup, I should say. Yeah, what a really nice example, though. That's great. So, do you know if these things are pretty heavy? You know, does it take significantly longer to get the page up and running, or do they basically seem to be the same amount of time?
I don't think that they are particularly heavy. The thing that you have to look out for is caching.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have to check on the If So website if they have a cache-proof solution. The other plugin that's very similar to If So is Logic Hop.
Yep.
And I know that they do have a cache-proof solution whereby it. And I imagine If So probably does too, because it's an issue, isn't it? You can't have a plugin like this that completely ignores the existence of caching. So with I know how Logic Hop works. For instance, there's JavaScript tags that you don't need to worry about JavaScript. It's just it uses JavaScript to load in the customizations after the page is loaded, similar to how an ad server might load into ads from an external source.
Right.
So that gets around caching that way. So if you're buying If So and you do use caching, then perhaps just check what their feature is, and if they do have a cache-proof solution there, or reach out to their sales team.
It's an interesting subject.
Have you used this particular solution before?
Say that again, sorry?
He said, have you used it before, this one? If So, in particular.
Yep. Yeah, we used If So with a client who needed to have one landing page, but they had about 15 different affiliates. So they used one landing page, and then they wanted the same page because they were tracking a particular funnel in a particular way. And there was only a few tiny little bits on the page that they needed to change, and they didn't want to have to duplicate a page every single time. Affiliate. So they have their landing page in Beaver Builder, and then they just go into this little bit in If So, and every time there's a new affiliate, they add a new button variation, and they add a new intro paragraph and title and picture. And then so the new affiliate links to that landing page for this particular coach's course, and they're introduced with something from that particular affiliate, and the button to buy the course has the affiliate link to that particular affiliate too. So we used If So for that purpose on that particular website, and we used Logic Hop on a coach website for that example that I gave earlier. So they're both really good plugins.
Yeah.
Both basically the same thing.
So, 50% off at the moment. I'm going to breeze really quickly over the security stuff because there's no time. Literally, medium security vulnerability patched in fast velocity minify plugin. There is a whole bunch of fake Updraft Plus plugins doing the rounds. Then also, just to say that WebArcs have decided to do a monthly overview. They've very much framed it on the way that the iThemes one looks. It looks like quite a similar article, but it's kind of a summation of October. So maybe go and check that out if you're using WebArcs. It's just a nice, clear way of seeing what plugin vulnerabilities have been highlighted this month, so you can go back and hopefully clean things up if or update things if they're not. The other one that I've got for you today is a WP Builds. This is the self-promotional bit, so I'll keep it really short. As if this couldn't be more better timed, shall we say. We spoke to Brian Jackson from Kinsta. I daren't say the word anymore. We spoke to Brian Jackson from Kinsta, and he talked about why he believes Kinsta is this incredible platform. But I think we've probably mentioned Kinsta quite a lot already, so let's...
Why not? They're doing a great job.
Yeah, they are.
Why is this a thing?
Yeah. Well, thank you, Vito.
What is Kinsta?
I just feel that over the last couple of weeks, we've mentioned them all the time, but also the fact that they're a sponsor kind of like opens me up to the criticism of basically putting content out just because they're a sponsor. I promise that that's not the case. Now, this is interesting. Look, we got some jobs. We got some actual jobs. This is from the company Sotic, who Leo Mindel is the, I'm going to say founder. I don't know if he's the founder or not, but I think he is. Based in central Cardiff. He's got 2 jobs, software engineer, and there's a description of what your job would entail, and a cloud engineer, and there's a very short description. If you fancy looking at those jobs, go for it. Leo says, I don't sponsor you. Not anymore, but very soon, Leo, I'm going to tap you up for some sponsorship because you're on the podcast. Clearly I only do things for sponsorship. What else have we got? Nothing.
By the way, we're also looking for for lead developer. We talked about this last week, but this is still happening.
Oh,
So yeah, lead dev for WP feedback if you're into it.
okay, thank you. Yeah, I'd forgotten about that. Please, if that continues, Vito, just chuck me an email or something, and I'll put it in as a piece of actual text. But yeah, I'd forgotten about that. And last but by no means least, Google have released a ton of new products. I really love phones and all that kind of stuff. They've released new phones, new hubs, and now I know why they gave me a free Google Home Mini the other day. I thought Google were being really nice, and it turns out it's just because it's now completely unsellable. They can't shift them for love nor money. So I got one of them. They got phones, hubs, Wi-Fi routers, tablets. Go and check it out on that link.
It's also that they're putting listening devices in everyone's home for free. That's the conspiracy theory.
Yeah. I got mine switched off.
Yeah,
Mine are all switched off.
It plays music.
Yeah, mine are all switched off until the point where we need it. So you have to kind of manually walk over, turn the button off, on, say something, turn it off. And
You think the button is the makes it stop listening?
yeah.
There was actually an article.
Yeah.
There was an article today. A security team submitted, behaviors, I think, to maybe Amazon and Google.
Okay.
And they did it on purpose as bad actors. They kept recording after the people turned it off and collected passwords and a lot of other things. It was kind of a white hat thing to prove that there wasn't enough screening, and that they are more dangerous, or potentially more dangerous than or as dangerous as people fear. So
that's it. I'm pulling the plug. This episode's over. I don't want any technology in my house anymore. But yeah, you're right. Those kind of concerns genuinely. I just think we live in such a peaceful time, such a time of certainly where we are. All four of us, we live in a very very peaceful part of the world. There is apart from the usual politics, toing and froing left and right, and people griping about the quality of their politicians. That's about as much as we've got to moan about. But it wasn't so long ago in our history that something like this could have been repurposed, and I'll leave it as that. But it is scary that we're opening this up potentially. Anyway, they've got some nice new phones. Go buy them, loads of them. Get them in your house, tons. Speaking of Google, wow, this was by the way, this has got the coolest scrolling. I don't know if you actually got a chance to scroll through this. This is on the Mozilla website, and it's just fabulous. Look at this. So I'm doing
I thought you were saying in this Google document, well done for scrolling all the way to the bottom.
Yeah, you gotta just.
I wondered why that's great scrolling in there.
Look at it. It's so great. It takes you down this sort of like zooming timeline. I just think from a usability point of view, it's probably horrific, but I just like the way it looks. And it's all about people who've kind of like accidentally been served up stuff by YouTube because they've watched something else. I'm watching X video, and then I come back in a couple of weeks' time, and now I'm seeing stuff which I really don't want to see. This has happened to a friend of mine who, no names mentioned, but they were watching something and their child was watching it, and they thought it was really benign, and they went out of the room and they came back like 10 minutes later. Caveat emptor, probably not a good idea to leave your child in the room with a YouTube channel open. And they came back and they were watching something which they really didn't want their child to see. And it was simply because there was a match, and the stuff in the sidebar did in some loose way connect with the video that they were watching, so it was an option. And anyway, it makes me feel a bit creeped out, to be honest. But yeah, there you go. And what else?
Don't you think that Google is missing the boat? I always get the suggestions for Visual Basic videos from 10 years ago, and it seems like they would be on top of it and actually showing things that people want, unless they're making some behind the scenes cash on these weird things that they're promoting.
That I just don't know. For the company that can give you the best search on the planet, bar none, the correlation between YouTube videos, I think, is sometimes really bizarre. But yeah, I'm sure you're right. I'm sure sponsored content is creeping in there, and also maybe it's just algorithms. As a population, these are the appropriate links. As an individual, they're nothing that I want to see. But as a broad brushstroke, I always think that the person who works out the algorithm for this person has already bought this product. Do not show them this advert again. They will be billionaires. Because I go to Amazon and I buy something, and then a day later I see the ad again. I've already bought it.
Yeah, can I say something on that really briefly? Vito, you can
Yeah.
you can filter out with your Facebook pixel anyone who's been to your dashboard page, maybe. Because I'm still
I'll tell you what.
everywhere for me, and I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, Vito's everywhere for me too. Yeah.
First of all, thanks for being a customer, Paul.
No,
but I'll tell you why we're doing this, and this is actually a strategized approach. First of all, it's important to keep people on board a lot more than to get new customers. So it just keeps us in your mind and reminds people to actually use the product and to actually kind of reach out if they need help. So we're there for our users, and that's one of our ways of doing that. Another thing is that users that are happy with it, you often see comments being left on these ads for other users. So this is kind of another way of introducing the product through referrals, basically.
yeah.
So it's a strategy.
You're a clever dude. I tell you what, my clients now, like especially like the partner ones who we do multiple websites with, every time we're doing a website now, they're like, "Are we using the WP feedback plugin again?" Every time.
Nice.
Awesome.
That is nice.
So I don't even have to remember to install it myself. It's part of it's in our blueprint anyway, but they're asking for it now. So
Amazing. That's amazing.
Good stuff.
They pick it up. They pick it up in moments, and then they want it all the time, and it works. So go get that 50% discount.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Should have been on the deals as well.
The last one that I got for you this week is where is it? There it is. It's Yahoo groups are going away. Oh, the little violins come out, and we all play a somber song because Yahoo is shutting down all Yahoo groups. Every single thing that you've got in a Yahoo group is going away today. So if you've got photos locked in there, I saw something in the Guardian newspaper yesterday. Apparently, significant proportions of this is unbelievable. Significant proportions of the UK's telephony network is based upon Yahoo groups. How does that even work? I read it, I've forgotten the gist of it, but basically there's people who were dumping information in there so it was publicly available so that other people could tap into that somehow and then set things up in I don't really know, but anyway, let's pray that the people who are going to suffer this problem have got it fixed. Otherwise, all of our phones are going to stop working.
I won't be able to use my landline anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh no.
Exactly. And well, your landline is your internet. Your landline is your internet. So yeah.
Only the in-laws that use it. Anyway.
Yeah. Bizarre. Right, we're all on screen. I'm going to say a great big thank you. That was a really long one. I apologise to all the people who were watching for the length that we went on for a little bit longer, but I hope you enjoyed it. I'm Nathan Wrigley from WP Builds. Do you want to say goodbye one at a time, starting with Paul?
Yep. Thanks, everyone. And my little thing that I'm doing this week is playing The Witcher 3 on my Switch, my Nintendo Switch, and I'm loving that game. So if anyone's thinking of watching Game of Thrones, don't bother. Play The Witcher 3 instead on a Nintendo.
Okay.
Or your PlayStation or your Xbox.
Loving it.
It's great.
I have a Nintendo. It's not mine. It's my son's. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get a pint of milk this week and pour it all over it. That's what I'm going to do.
That's a good idea. That'll teach him a lesson.
Retribution for the laptop just there, which is now balked. Anyway, Vito, what are you up to this week?
I'm flying back to London in a couple of hours. Just working for the rest of the week.
Okay.
Nothing special.
You're going to be at WordCamp US though, right?
I am on the 30th. In 9 days, I'm flying to the US, and I'm gonna be there for a week or so. Then coming back. Oh, by the way, 48 in 48. It's happening in 2 weeks. If people want to join me, if you're WordPress professionals, we're looking for volunteers for this amazing charity that's gonna happen right when we're coming back. When I'm coming back from WCUS. The idea is to build 48 websites in 48 hours, and we're always looking for people to come and join this amazing cause, all for charities that can't afford building websites. Yeah, that's gonna be the game for the next month or so. US, then this guy, then there is the WP Engine Summit as well in London that is happening next month. Yeah,
Thank you.
just work.
Thank you, Vito. David, anything you want to tell us?
Well, I've been, I'm really into custom post types and page builders and whatnot. So I've been working on a series of blog posts where I'm looking at creating the single and archive template for using different theme builders. And so I just did a video on Divi 4. Divi just released their theme builder. I think they did a preview of it about a year and a half ago, and people have been waiting. It's the last major page builder that to offer the theming functionality. So I'm doing that. I'm gonna do Beaver Themer and Elementor and Brizzy, but it's just kind of interesting to see the different approaches and the strengths and whatnot of the different options.
Yeah,
So that's what I'm working on.
Yeah, I've read quite a few of your articles over the last few weeks. They're always very, very well put together. Thank you for those. I confess we forgot about the Divi 4 release, didn't we? Maybe we'll have to bump that over to next week.
Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, we forgot.
Earlier.
But time and tide wait for no man. Vito's got to get a plane anyway, so I will wrap it up.
My burger is coming.
Yeah. Oh, okay, good. Yeah, good. Right, in perfect time. I'm going to say thank you, all three of you. Come back next week. We'll do it all again. Take it easy. Bye.